I had no idea. I just knew he was a fat dude talking to a hot little skinny black chick at 10 in the fucking morning. But then when I came out, they were still out there, and the argument had escalated. And he kept saying, "Where's my wallet? Where's my wallet?" She was sucking his dick, and she pickpocketed him. That's the oldest trick in the book. That's
Oh
when you get a
no.
blowjob from a hooker, you put your wallet in the fucking back pocket because you're sitting on it. She can't pickpocket you. If you have it in the front wallet, those chicks will pickpocket you. When you're getting your dick sucked, you're looking up at God thinking, what happened? You know what I'm saying? This is the best in the world. Why'd you make me a welder? She's sucking away. She's fucking picking. They can pickpocket you, take a 20 out and put it back in your wallet. That's how good they are. She just
I had
took the
no
white
idea.
dude's wallet and fucking, he kept saying, "Where's my wallet?" And as I was getting in the car, he just punched her with a straight right to the jaw. She dropped and she started yelling, "Where's my pimp?" And then that motherfucking pimp started coming up on his little Mazda packed with fucking death row. He had death row in that fucking car. And that's when it was time for me to
Jesus.
leave. I didn't even wait for the cops. I didn't wait. I could have been a good Samaritan and helped her up. That's not my angle.
They have
You know what I'm
cameras.
saying? Yeah, they got cameras at CVS, and they weren't going to prosecute him anyway. Right now, if you smack somebody in L.A., they'll talk you out of prosecuting.
That's crazy. I was gonna ask you, does Mercy miss it at all? Does she ever say, "Oh, I miss LA. I miss people there"?
Not a peep.
Wow.
Not a peep. Once she came here, I never forget when she first bit into the pizza and her fucking eyes. It was like somebody hit her in the head with a 2x4. She's like, "I'll never go back to California."
Fuck Daniels.
She had one connection. She has two connections to California. Her little girlfriend, and she lives in Garwood.
Okay.
And then her other little girlfriend that they were tight with for about a year. They stayed tight on the phone and shit. And then the mother was supposed to come to Cape May and call my wife. And my wife waited here all week for the fucking phone. Typical LA people. My wife was very upset. She didn't tell Mercy that the family was coming because she had a funny feeling that they were going to pull a California fucking quickie.
Right.
And that's what they did. And Mercy's really tight with that girl. Mercy really likes that girl. But I tell you something. The last 2 or 3 months, she hasn't said nothing about her. In fact, I slipped with her name the other day. I said her name. And she didn't even say, no, I haven't spoken to her or nothing. She just polished right through. Listen, I was pissed off for a fucking year, Lee. If you know anything about me, I was really pissed off because I'm Johnny Social. I've been trained in being social. I've been social all my life. And when I moved here, between my wife and my daughter, they were social butterflies. Me? Nobody wanted to meet me. Like, I was like, fuck. You know, but then again, on the other side, I didn't want to create what I created in LA. Like people fucking being my friend because of comedy. I wanted people to be my friend because of me. And I remember I met a few people, and I remember the neighbor across the street, the Pumas. He came to me, like we were friends for about 2 weeks, talking and shit. And one day he's like, "Hey man, I saw a video of you," and I remember that it sucked the energy out of me. It was like somebody
Right.
had kicked me in the stomach, like fuck, my secret is out. You
Yeah.
know, like like I thought these people didn't watch comedy or they didn't know anything about podcasts, but I didn't adjust like they did. They were out the box. They were going to parties after a week, meeting people after a week. I'm sitting down here. I had to drive all the way to North Bergen to talk to my friends and whatnot.
Well, I
So
mean,
my,
I was listening to you on Rogan, and I think what you said made a lot of sense. That you went from Jersey to Colorado to Seattle to LA. All that shit happened, and you don't have. I had a minuscule version of that happen, and I still like. It still blows my mind that as many people watched and listened to the church as they did. Like,
they
I
can
don't really understand. I understand, but I really don't. That people all around the world for 10 years, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, whatever, listen to the podcast. It doesn't really make sense to me. I still haven't really fully accepted that that happened.
it's very funny that right now I have the joint and the numbers are maybe a quarter of what the church did, and it doesn't bother me. Like I could sleep at night. I'm okay with it because I didn't know where the church was going. We never really knew what the church was going. We just kept doing it and kept getting high and kept increasing the numbers on the edibles. And, we didn't know where the fuck it was going, but it was big. And you look at some of those YouTube numbers, they've been stolen and they've been re-fucking put up. So we don't really have a gauge on what they've done.
Right.
But now, looking back after a year and a half of not doing it, I'm very proud of the church.
Yeah.
You
Hell
know,
yeah.
I'm very proud of the church. When I look at the church now, it's like looking at I Love Lucy in black and white. You know, that was what a podcast was then. We tried to, do the best we can, and we did the best we can. We got to a lot of people. Our message was, the message that, and the message still continues in my life, that doesn't matter what happened to you. Doesn't matter what you did. You could always create a second chance for yourself. That's what I always call the church and the joint. They're second chance podcast. They're for misfits. They're for people who've been made to feel like they don't belong. And guess what? They do belong. It was like me for years, man, and still, I still feel like I don't belong. As a stand-up, I never felt included. And then as a human being, I never felt included. So it just ran with that. And I know people who listen to it feel the same way. We've never been included in the big things. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I'm friends with Joe, and I'm friends with Ari, and I'm friends with Bert. But look at that Netflix special. Look at those Netflix specials and who they give them to. They have a certain clientele, and I was never one of them. I was never one of them for anything. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was Chelsea. But I kept overcoming and kept pushing forward. You can't worry about what you don't accomplish. You have to worry about what you do accomplish and what's next, And I think we did that with the church. We really raised the bar on podcasting as because it wasn't an information podcast. It
Right.
was an escape podcast. Go, listen. That's what I wanted to create. I didn't want people to sit there and be like, fucking, we can't miss this word because we're going to... No. It's an escape podcast. You put it on for an hour and a half, you smoke a joint, and you take the ride with them. More so like a Pink Floyd album or a Led Zeppelin album. I'm not saying I'm Jimmy Page or Robert Plant, but what I'm saying is that's what we were going for, that tag along. I didn't want to go on there and be smarter than you and compete with Bill Maher. Bill Maher's Bill Maher, John Oliver's John Oliver, Rogan's Rogan, and we're who the fuck we are. What if we
Right.
would have put fake shirts on? I
Mm-hmm.
don't think the podcast would have done that well. And that when I
No.
see a podcast that's not doing well, that's like a friend of mine. I'll check it out, and I'll see that those two people on that podcast, or those three people or four people, are each trying to be something else. If you keep it to yourself and keep it in your world and in your lane and what you talk about, everything will be okay. I didn't go on there. Even now, I don't go on here talking about vaccines, not because I don't want to compete with Rogan, because I don't know anything about that shit.